I think I should learn all of the Bionicle lore. Oh boy. Hello everyone. It is me, Mega Maniacs here, back with another video. And today, we're finally doing what you guys have requested me to do for a long time. Look at the Bionicle stuff. You see, I'm not big on Bionicle. I never was. I just never got into it when I was young, so I never really cared about Bionicle. But Bionicle is one of these staples of LEGO. It was the theme that made sure that LEGO lived till today. Without Bionicle, there wouldn't be a LEGO Star Wars to complain about, or there wouldn't be helmet holes to complain about, which, depending on who you are, that might be a good or a bad thing, I don't know, but Bionicle was the theme that made LEGO not go bankrupt, so it is about time that I stopped ignoring Bionicle's existence and actually talked about it, which is what we're doing in this video, but I'm not gonna just talk about Bionicle. I don't know anything about it. How would I talk about it? So in today's video, I am going to be learning all of the Bionicle lore by watching all of the movies, reading the comics, and trying to piece together the convoluted story of the Bionicle. Well, let's go right ahead and get started with the movies. But wait! See, this is a pretty Herculean task I am embarking on right now. A journey of the lifetime learning the Bionicle lore. Which means I cannot do it alone. So I gathered the brightest Bionicle minds, basically assembled the Bionicle Avengers to learn this lore. So that's what I did.
The self-proclaimed Bionicle expert and lover, 442nd Legion or 442nd Siege Battalion.
Hello there, everybody.
Hey, what do you know about the Bionicle lore? What do you know?
How much of the Bionicle lore are you, like, aware of, overall? As, like, a precursor.
A lot of it.
A lot of it, yeah.
Is England actually behind the Bionicles? I'm watching you.
I am joined by ZSC Studios for the...
That is me.
Yep, that is indeed him.
You're a good dog. Yeah, you're a good dog.
What is your opinion on this goofy image of Vaikama T-posing in Windows 2000? I don't know why he's there.
Gathered friends, listen again to our legend of the Bionicle. In the time before time.
Bionicle 1, The Mask of Light. So, I want to go right ahead and get out of the way that this movie is still pretty good. I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything, but it's still a pretty neat little movie. As someone who doesn't know much about Bionicle, this was an interesting starting point. And I gotta say, you could see where this laid the foundations for future LEGO stuff to happen. This is a lot like Ninjago, and I was at first like, okay, LEGO really likes recycling their stuff, and then I realized this movie came out before Ninjago ever existed, and then I was like, wow, LEGO really likes reusing all of their stuff.
And then, I mean, other spiritual successors to Bionicle, I mean, Ninjago is a huge one, you know, Elementals.
Yeah.
As a new member,
That was
who also
definitely...
gets Golden Power, like...
Yeah, that's definitely
yeah,
interesting, like, I didn't
Ninjago
expect
is
when...
quite similar.
Yeah, I didn't expect when, especially watching the Bionicle movies, that they'd be so similar to Ninjago. It's just
Yeah,
again ninjas instead of robots. So
yeah.
in that one.
yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, I think the 2003 Mask of Light movie, pretty classic. I think it was really where I always compare Bionicle to Ninjago because you know you got like 6 colorful dudes and you got 6 colorful dudes in the other
Yeah,
one.
that
And they all got
is
elemental powers.
that is something I bring up
What
in
I
the video too. It is.
yeah.
They really kind of just did the same thing, but instead of robot guys, it's goofy.
It's just ninja guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not saying that Ninjago was bad because of that, but
Oh,
Bionicle
no,
did
for
do
sure.
this kind of story first.
Granted, Ninjago has evolved a lot since its inception, but it is still a lot like Ninjago. I also gotta say that, I gotta say, man, this movie, I think, is giving Lord of the Rings way too hard. This movie is just Lord of the Rings, light mode. Like, it's just Lord of the Rings. Like, for example, Takua, the guy, or who keeps getting called the Chronicler, which, is really goofy. They don't get their own names right. Like, Takua and the Chronicler, I know the Chronicler is, like, a title, I think, that they can get, but, like, they also keep calling him, like, the Crinkler. I swear I heard, like, Vakama call him the Crinkler at one point, and I lost my like, how do you even, how? I get the names are confusing, but come on, you made the names. But this movie is just Lord of the Rings. If you really think about it, Takua is Frodo. His little minion guy, who I forget the name of, is Samwise, who he goes around with. The Toa can be replaced by Aragorn, Legolas, Gimli, Vakama and the gang. Oh crap. Gandalf, maybe? Yeah, Gandalf. And the main villain is giving Sauron. He's just Sauron. He's just Sauron. Well, he's kind of cool. I actually gotta say my favorite part of this movie is the villain. The villain is absolutely amazing. He goes hard. I gotta say, he goes insane. I love the green smoke effect of him and his minions, and he does seem like a very antagonistic force in the Bionicle lore and in the Bionicle movies. I gotta say, I love this guy. He's really cool. I wish we saw more of him before he got murked. Wait, he didn't really get killed. He got, like, fused with Takanuva, which Takanuva's also Vakama. That's another Lord of the Rings thing. The Mask of Light is gold, and it is, like, the guiding force of Takua and the gang. So it's literally just a one ring, except it's not being controlled by the bad guy, but still, just Lord of the Rings. Jesus Christ, this movie is literally just Lord of the Rings. Oh my god. But, like, overall, I think, the villains are really cool. I wish there was more fleshed out before he got, like, fused and then he kind of died. I don't really know what happened to him. The ending of this movie was confusing as hell, and goes into my next big point, my major criticism of this movie. Not that it's just Lord of the Rings, but the fact that, oh my god, this is one of the most rushed movies I've ever seen. It's just about an hour long, being the shortest of the Bionicle movies. This thing is rough, man. It just speed runs through everything. At some points, it feels fine, but there's other points, like, I think there's not enough setup for the villain, and I kind of think that's why they made the sequels, because the sequels are really just to establish the villain more, because Jesus Christ, the villain here just, I love him, he's cool, he does a lot of cool stuff, but he is not set up correctly at all. And I think none of the Toa, except the red guy, has any character arc at all, and they just kind of exist to be background characters so we can pad out the Toa. It's like, why? Not even Fakama does anything in this movie. The only one with like good character arcs is Takua and his little minion guy. And I don't know why I keep calling him minion guy. I'm just gonna call him goddamn Samwise because he's just Samwise. Takua and Samwise, man, are just... they're the only ones with any form of, like, real character, and their character is pretty cool in this movie. Yeah, it is just Frodo and Samwise, but it's still cool. But I think this is most egregious at the end of the movie, where they rush the final fight, and the big bad guy is defeated, and then he gets fused with the good guy for some reason, and then the good guy dies, and then he gets revived. Samwise also dies in this movie, and then gets revived again by Takua by kind of dying, sort of, and then they all leave and go back to maybe Matanui or maybe Metru. I don't know where they're going. I guess they're going somewhere. They're going somewhere at the end of the movie. And it's like, okay, cool, the movie's over. What the hell just happened? Like, I was flabbergasted, completely shooketh. Like, geez, this is saying, I really like this movie. I think the characters are cool ideas. There's a lot of really cool ideas in this movie. But I just think they were rushed through way too quickly. I would have loved to see more. And also, by the way, this is a little spoiler for the other two movies, but they just straight up do not answer where they're going. They never carry on that plot, because basically the other two movies are prequels to this movie, so we never really get a true sequel to Mask of Light, which I feel like was very much in order. Overall, Mask of Light, I gotta say, man, it's a cool movie. I liked it, but it does have a few flaws. Alright, let's go right ahead and go on to Metru Nui, the second movie, and Web of Shadows. Alright, now it is time for the two prequels. Bionicle 2 Metru Nui and Bionicle 3 Web of Shadows. And yes, we will be doing both of these movies in the one section, because I don't really have much to say on Bionicle 3, so we're gonna speed run that one. Starting off with Bionicle 2 Metru Nui, this is a pretty good movie, all things considered. This follows the old Gandalf wizards from the last movie, but they're Toa now. And realistically, this movie has some like weird oddities lore-wise. So what I don't understand right now is this movie is just it's just strange. Like, the way that the Toa work in this movie seem completely different to how the Toa worked in the last movie, and I don't know how that is or what was happening. At first, when I first watched this movie, I thought that we were watching the Toa from the last movie, the first movie, which would have been a very interesting movie to see the origin of those Toa, but I guess not. It's cool. But I think my major issues with this movie are, again, this is a Rust movie. The movie goes by pretty fast. It's not as Rust as the last movie, but it does just kind of fly by. It's slightly longer than the last movie, at around hour 4 minutes, I think, so you get a little bit of extra time to breathe, but there's still some serious goofy shenanigans in this movie. And my other issue is the fact that I just think this movie's premise is the most generic in the series, out of the original trilogy at least. It is a extremely generic premise that I think is definitely the weakest. There's some really cool stuff, which, again, the villain, which I'm pretty sure is the villain from the first movie. I don't know, all of the villains in the series look the same. But if it is, he is even more Sauron, because he has a tower now. Yes, he has his own Barad-dûr in this movie, and... Bro, how? How could you become more Sauron? I don't know. But there's also some other weird oddities in this movie, like, they try to explain the old wizard people more, like, at the beginning of the movie, there's this Toa that's going around, and he's, like, delivering, like, shards that will turn the future generations into Toa to these random kids, and then he gets kidnapped. Later on in the movie, when the new Toa, the Toa Metru, they stumble across this guy, and he's an old man now, and he doesn't have his power anymore, because he gave it up or something. I don't know, he just decided, I don't want to be a Toa anymore, which honestly, I think that's kind of cool. Okay, that's kind of a power move, like, nah, I'm out of here, I don't want to be a Toa anymore. But the end of this movie is no less confusing than the end of the last movie. Because, good lord. So at the end of this movie, the Dark Shadow guy, who is controlling, like, the mayor of Toa Metru, he's kind of there, and he comes out of the shadows. He reveals himself as the big bad, the big puppet master of the Bionicle world. And the Toas try to fight him, and they kind of beat him, oddly enough, but not really. They basically just buy time to escape, which is all really cool, and I actually really like that. I love movies where the good guys lose, weirdly enough. For, like, example, Revenge of the Sith, or Infinity War. Good movies where the villains, or where the good guys end up losing, and I think it is a plot point that can be used very well to create a amazing conclusion to the trilogy, and I think that is a really nice plot point being used here.
Especially, I really enjoyed the second because it has like there's that battle in it, and then you're like, wow, they lost, you know, like they didn't win with the island. Everyone lost their memories, so I felt like it had consequences, which was really interesting.
But then the end of this movie takes a gigantic time jump through, like, many millennia of existing, all the way back. They're on the island of the original thing, and they're vibing, and then they, like, have these pods of little guys, and the pods open, and boom, the Chronicler is just there. Yes, he's just there. Why is he there? This means that chronologically, the Chronicler, or otherwise known as Takua, is older than, like, most of the Toa from the last movie. I don't know what's going on anymore, man. I'm losing it. I don't know what's going on. I was shooketh. Like, what is going on? The end of this movie just seems like it was just desperately trying to connect itself back to the last movie in any way possible. But, like, you didn't need to do that. Especially because the entirety of the CERN movie takes place in between the end of this movie and the credits of this movie. There's an entire another movie in there. Like, why do this? You just made it more complicated for yourself. Even though I've been complaining a lot about this movie, I do like it. I think overall this is a very enjoyable movie. if you just kind of turn your brain off, you can really enjoy it, and I think that's something that'll stay true with all of these movies.
Legends of Metru Nui is really nice, honestly, and you can see the animation change with like them like improving a bit.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
and I absolutely like love Kreka's whole voice. It's really funny, honestly. Every time he says Nadiki.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert, but the Bionicle movies never get as bad to where there's like such glaring issues that you just can't help but notice them. If you turn your brain off, just kind of enjoy the action, you're gonna have a really fun time watching this movie. Now, in my opinion, it's probably the weakest, but honestly, that's not really a bad thing. And I think if this is your favorite, then good on you. This is a really fun movie. I don't know, these are all really great. Now moving on to Bionicle 3. Web of Shadows, the movie of all time. Now, this movie, I don't really have a lot to say. It just goes hard. Honestly, this movie is probably the most enjoyable of the movies. I think the first movie is overall the best, but this movie, it goes hard.
Bionicle 3, Web of Shadows. Honestly, I actually really like that one. I don't understand how it has like a 43% online.
Same.
It's
When I
such a
watched
good
it,
movie.
Yeah, when I watched that, I was like, this is about to be fire. Like, it goes,
Uh-huh.
it goes so hard. But
And honestly, I love Kitangu's representation and everything, and because Sidorak is such a loser in the movie, I think that's what keeping like the set price down a bit. Because the most expensive 2005 Titan is Rudaka, which is interesting considering
Yeah.
her character. But yeah, because Sidorak is such a loser, keeps the price down on the set.
So, I didn't really have much to say other than that. Like, the characters are kind of cool. It follows, again, it takes place after the second movie, like, after when they go into the tunnel, but before the Chronicler hatches out of his little guy, his little, pod. So, there's an entire... This is basically explaining away that time jump from the last movie, and so much happens in this movie. The Toa are now ugly or something, and they don't want to be ugly, so they try to stop that from happening. Udaka's in this movie, which all I gotta say about Udaka is don't search her up on Google. Please, just don't do it. This is my warning to you. Don't do it. It's stress. It's stress. Don't do it. But she's a pretty compelling villain. Very maniacal. Very maniacal for some reason. And overall, it's kind of cool. The other guy, who also kind of looks like the Shadow guy, but he's not the Shadow guy, he's a different guy, but he also looks exactly like the Shadow guy. I don't know. Bro, why do all of the villains look the same in this movie? They either are just like reskins to the Shadow guy or Radaka. And like the guy is just here. He's vibing, and I don't know what to say. He's kind of a loser, kind of a simp. I don't know what to say about him. The big plot is Vakama becoming a bad guy. He turns to the dark side, and he's a bad guy now. And he keeps like bullying the Toa and destroying crap and committing genuine war crimes. And then he rallies up an army of orcs, worm guys. God damn it. Is this just Lord of the Rings? It always has been, I guess. But yeah, this movie kind of goes hard. It's fun. I'm not going to complain about it because it's like, this is a fun movie. What do you want me to say? Alright. From here on out, we are going into deep enemy territory. We're outside of the original trilogy, so we have to go to the rebooted stuff. And my tone is about to change very, very quickly. Guys, we're getting into bad territory now. Alright, so before we actually start and talk about Bionicle 4, well, we gotta have a discussion here, a talk. So, from this point forward, copyright is going to be an issue while making this video. And I want that to be known that there might be some copyright issues, especially with this fourth movie, because it seems to have been scrubbed from the internet. It is a nightmare to track this movie down and actually watch it. So, it comes the issue, I could get striked for that. So, what I'm gonna do is I might have to alter the footage, put, like, filters on it. I might end up just using, Takua, like, walk cycle background footage for some parts. And from this point until we finish talking about the TV show, we're in deep territory, okay? I don't know if we're gonna... I hope and pray we can get this video out and I won't get striked. But we never know, so I'll be taking some precautions anyway. And also might be doing some, like, genuine war crimes to this footage, which, I don't know, it might help me not to actually get this video up. I've spent too long to not have this video see the light of day, so I'm gonna be... bear with me here. But Bionicle 4, The Legend of Matanui, is a movie, I guess. Good lord. Now, all the other Bionicle movies have been pretty good so far. This one kinda isn't. It's still fine. Again, I don't think it gets to the point where it's not watchable. This is the final Bionicle movie, and I'd still rather watch this than Crystallized. This is just a fun movie, like, it's just cool. This movie is just kind of still cool and fine. I don't think it's horrific. Some people would say that this movie, like, killed their family. It didn't. It's just a movie. It's fine. But I do have some things to talk about here. Mainly with potential and this movie as a whole. Because I think this movie as a whole is interesting. The story is all over the damn place. It's trying to adapt, from my little knowledge, I think, it is trying to adapt stuff from the expanded universe, which we'll get into later in this video, and we'll get into my process in learning that, because at the time of recording I haven't done that yet. But, it's trying to bring in stuff from the extended universe, but it doesn't really work, because they don't really do it right. Like, they don't do it right, and they don't give enough attention to the stuff that they need to give enough attention to. The story that is here, expanded universe aside, because we'll get more into that later, it's okay. I think sometimes the dialogue can be a little bit rough. From the first few minutes of the movie, I knew I was in for a treat. And it's still, like, a fun, bad movie. You can watch it and still have a interesting time, at least. I think dialogue could be a bit goofy. I think, this movie's big cardinal sin is the fact that every sound effect is a stock sound effect. Dude, this movie feels like I edited it. Like, genuinely. Every single thing in here is a stock sound effect. They use the Wilhelm scream, like, 100 different times in this movie. They are addicted. Like, they are addicted to the Wilhelm scream. They won't stop. They genuinely won't stop using the Wilhelm scream. We follow Matanui, the guy, because he's a guy now, and he does some goofy stuff. He has a bug best friend, and a twist villain, which everyone saw coming. Goddamn Bionicle Andrew Tate over here. Of course he was the villain of the movie. The twist didn't work. I also gotta say, this movie was so confident that it was gonna get sequels. It's kind of wild, because this movie ends on a cliffhanger that it truly did not deserve. This movie did not deserve to have a cliffhanger, and it never got its sequel, so this story is still unresolved in the Bionicle movies, and because this is already a story that's kind of been told, but not really. It's weird, it's goofy, but the story that they were trying to tell here never really got completed, which I think is kind of a blessing and a shame. I don't really know which one it is, but it's one of those. I could go on and talk about this movie more in depth, but I think Just Jack said it perfectly. Like, he echoed my sentiment exactly. So for the rest of this segment, I'm just gonna play what he has to say about this movie.
Everything being inside the Motonui robot, sick as hell idea, and then having that, and then at the end having that robot wake up, and then having the spirit of Motonui being like shot in space, and then I feel like that last half of the story was a cool concept, but then really poor execution, because I think the fourth movie was really weak, and the fourth movie really should have been Makuta and Motonui fighting in their gigantic robots, because that'd be sick as hell. And like that, for me, that's the ideal Bionicle movie, and I think if they were to redo Bionicle, like, I'd want to see more of that side of the story. I know I'm totally like veering off your question here, but this got me going. But like, I think that's a huge part of the story that was like totally overshadowed, that I love, because I think having two 50-mile tall robots duking it out is probably one of the coolest things in fiction. And then having all these guys be like the little micro dudes in there, even though like they've been like our homies for like so long, like that's kind of cool and also kind of freaky and kind of weird, kind of existential, and I like that. But also at the end, like Motonui like really acknowledges all of their existences, because at first like he's this gigantic god and all, but then he becomes more humble because he realizes, oh yeah, all these guys have their struggles too, and like they're kicking ass out there, and like we're all like in it together, and it's awesome. And you know, the moral of the story I think for Bionicle is that it's not about Bionicle, it's about the friends we made along the way.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What? Get your ass on, right? Get your goddamn ass.
Oh no. Oh no. I was dreading this part of the video. Before we get to the extended lore and my process of learning the extended lore, we have one more thing to talk about. This dang TV show. Now, this is another part of the video where I have to disclaimer and say, you could like whatever you want to like. Don't let me influence you. You can do whatever you want. If you like this show, you can like this show. I don't. Now, everything has a little bit of like good to it, right? I think there's a bit, like, every bad thing has like an itty bitty like ounce of something that may have been good in like an alternate dimension. And I think the art style is the only compliment I can give this TV series. Based, not the way the show looks, I have to keep that in mind, not the way the show looks, because those don't sound like they'd be two different things, but they are two different things, right? They are not comparable at all. But the way the art style of this show is kind of cool. Out of everything, it oddly reminds me of Curious George, which that's something, I guess. Like, I really think the art style here is just a Curious George. Like, it looks similar, and it's kind of freaking me out, man. But that's all I can really say in compliment to this show. I guess the hunter guy, it looks kind of cool. The Bionicles look cool, but the way that everything like works is bad. I know that doesn't make any sense, but down to its core, this show just doesn't work. Like, it actively just doesn't. Like, it's so hard to explain, but it just doesn't. Like, I don't even know why this is happening, but half the time the Bionicles have like a different art style than like the actual background, which just makes them look like they're green screened in. They don't even look like they're touching the floor half the time. Like, they look like someone, and it looks like I took these from a different Bionicle thing and edited them into this background. They don't match, and they don't fit. There's some times to where they look fine, and then other times to where it just looks just freaking abysmal, like absolutely unwatchable, like preposterously bad. And that's not even where this gets worse. It gets so much worse. The story is fine, I guess. It's generic, it's whatever. I don't think it's anything that special. It's basically just a collection of side quests, which is something. But I think this show's biggest issue, and what has made this show probably the worst thing I have watched for the channel, well, that actually made it to the channel, is the voice acting.
Gotta step it up some. Enough. Leave them.
Oh my god. Oh no. What did they do to you? What did it do to the voice acting? All the voice actors and actresses, they don't care. They actually don't care. Like, they don't care anymore. Like, they are so static. They are not even trying. Now, I get that they're robots, but they aren't supposed to feel and sound like it's robots. Dude, ChatGPT has more personality than the voice acting for this show does. That's a bad thing. I don't know. I truly don't know. Like, the line delivery is horrid. Like, actually, it takes a lot to make me physically cringe. But this show does it so often. I can't. I can't. Like, it's actually so bad. It's actually so bad. How is it even possible for it to be that bad? Oh, that's why. Yeah, this is a Netflix original, so good job, Netflix. You made, like, the worst piece of Bionicle media possible. Good job, I guess. Like, yeah, congratulations, you did it. I don't even know, because, like, this show has, like, cool stuff in it. Like, the intro, first episode is so wacky, because it's, like, there's this, like, weird, like, part where it's like a flashback and they're talking about the events that led up to this story. I don't know why they didn't just show the events that went up to the story instead of they decided to tell us about the events that led up to the story. But it's like all in this like really interesting comic book art style that's not seen anywhere else in the show, but it's here and it looks really good. Well, except for it's like weirdly, it's like Redfall cutscenes. Like it's pretty. It looks pretty bad, but like the actual art style here is really cool, and I would have loved to see a Bionicle show like in that art style. But then it cuts back to whatever the hell this is. Like, am I watching a different show? What happened? Like, what happened? This was cool. I also, one more thing I just have to mention. Why does Season 1 have 3 episodes and Season 2 have 2 episodes? Why did you structure it like that? Just delay it a little bit and put it all in one season. Stop it. Like, why? Why? It doesn't mean anything, but it just makes me angry. Like, why? Stop doing that. I don't know. This is probably the worst thing I've watched for this channel. And that kind of sucks because there's some cool concepts here and some cool characters. Again, I think the Hunter guy is really cool, but like, I never want to watch that again. Like, I would rather watch Crystallized, like, 5 times over. They're bad for very different reasons. Crystallized is bad because the story is nonsensical. Like, it is hilariously bad. But this isn't watchable. In my opinion, it's not watchable. Again, if you like this, go right ahead. Have fun. Dude, all power to you. Go watch it again. Have a good time, man. Like, genuinely, I'm happy that you managed to find something in a show that I couldn't. But, good God, that was rough. So, on that sour note, it's time for me to learn the extended lore. Oh boy. I don't know what I'm in for. Okay. Now comes the hard part of the video. So, I finished with all of the easy stuff, you know, just watching movies and TV shows. That's easy. I do that a lot for this channel, as you might be able to tell. But, now we're getting into new territory for me. We have to learn the extended lore, and honestly, man, I have no idea where I'm gonna start. There is so much. Comics, games, extended lore that is in promos, and that's about it. Just ads. I gotta watch ads. And, man, I don't know. I've been working on this video for about a month now. And there is, I don't have, like, I need to get the video done, you know? I need to get the video done. But I'm running out of time, you know? It is now June. I gotta get the video done, so I don't know, man. I might not be able to make it. I might not be able to finish the video. After all of this work. Because there's so much. I don't know where to start. There's so much here. No, I'm not gonna give up. Bionicle. Oh. Bruh. There's a lore expert right here. You know everything about the lore, don't you? You just can't tell me because you're a dog. But in this segment, we're going to figure out the lore. So I have gone through and really learned the lore. Okay, I have went through and tried to learn everything I possibly can about the Bionicle lore. And this is what happened. Alright, so it is now time for me to recount the lore. I have, yes, successfully learned all or almost all of the Bionicle lore. There might be a small tidbit that I am missing somewhere in the ether that has been lost to time, but I'm not here to go after and find lost media, okay? From all of the available lore, I think I have learned it all. And I want to reiterate for this section, what probably doesn't need to be reiterated, but I'm going to do it anyway. This video is not a retelling of the Bionicle lore. This section is not going to be me just yapping about the Bionicle lore, just retelling it all again. I think this video, I don't have the time for that, quite frankly. I do not want to edit a just gigantic, like, 10-hour long video on CapCut, by the way. Nope, sorry, I'm not doing that. Good, I don't want to die, okay? I want to live to see this video get uploaded. And, also, I don't really, like, I don't think I would do a good job, you know? Like, I think people have already recounted the Bionicle lore many, many times, and they've done a really good job. I think if you want a really great retelling of the Bionicle lore, I go watch Duck Brix's 9-hour long Bionicle Retold series, just recounting pretty much everything. That the video goes really hard. It's well produced. It's really good. So if you need to take even more time off of your hands, go watch that Duck Bricks video. 9 hours of your time, you could just throw that in the bin. But if you just want to hear me talk about the Bionicle lore, if you want to hear me talk about it, then this is the section for you. I'm going to give my opinions on the overall lore. I'm going to give my opinions on the games and comics. I am going to, I'm going to give my overall opinions on Bionicle as a whole, what I think could be next for Bionicle, and also what I think you, yes, you the viewer, if you aren't already into Bionicle, or you are from some of my other content, maybe a Ninjago fan, or maybe even a Shima fan, yikes, then I'll give you kind of a guide, a tutorial, if you will, for you to learn the Bionicle lore on your own. Alright, let's get into the segment. So, my opinions on the overall Bionicle storyline. Now, this is a very broad subject, so we're gonna kind of break it up here. I think the main storyline of Bionicle in the extended universe is actually really, really good. And I think they do a fantastic job at storytelling. The lore is very deep, but even on a surface level, it is very good. I think some of my favorite parts, honestly, aren't the over-the-top, insane, like actually insanity. Some of my favorite parts were tying it back into the already existing media, and tying it back into sets as well. I think, the parts where it really shows, like, more of what happened during the events of the Mask of Light, or Legends of Metru Nui. I think those are both very interesting storylines that really didn't have their potential fully maxed, and I love seeing more character development for the Toamata and the Toa Metru, because realistically they didn't have a lot in the movies. Like, the Toa Metru had more, but the Toamata really didn't have anything. I mean, they had 1 hour to show the characters of 6 Toa. Like, a plus Vakama and all of those former Toa Metru, the former Toa Metru, and also with Takua and the gang, like, they didn't have time to fully flesh out these characters, and I think when we do fully flesh out these characters, give them the backstory, give them the lore, they become very iconic. I really like the characters. I also gotta say, connecting it back to the Mask of Light again, Takua is, like, actually a legend. He is cool. I think Takua not really being a fire Matoran and being a light Matoran actually is really cool, and kind of being like a shapeshifter, kind of, where he can just kind of choose whatever he wants to be. makes sense considering he doesn't really have, he has very little red armor, which is weird, but it makes sense here. And he's kind of just a legend in the extended material. He gets banished because they think he really doesn't really have much to do, and he just walks around helping people. Like, he stops plague, he saves villages just because he's that guy, you know? He's the cool, like, he's just a cool guy. Even when he becomes Takanuva later, he's still doing really cool stuff. And like, overall, I love the extra characterization for Takua. Honestly, probably one of my favorite LEGO characters at this point of the LEGO cinematic universe. I think he is extremely well done. Again, going back to the Toa Metru, I think they were also done really well in the extended material, and I think the extra world building and character development that they share on the Toa Metru are very, very good and very welcomed, honestly. Now, getting outside of the main storyline, we get a little goofy, okay? We get super goofy, and I think I do agree with my guests on a lot of their opinions on the overall lore of Bionicle.
Oh my god, okay. So, I absolutely love how, like, sort of complicated it is, because, like, it starts off with, of course, like, the canisters, but then we find out that the people that were telling the Toa what to do, like the Turaga, were actually Toa before, and like all that stuff. I love it so much because it fleshes out a lot of characters that you wouldn't really have like thought would get fleshed out. So like you see like Takua or something, you're not gonna suspect that he's another Toa. You see like Nokama, Turaga Nokama, and it's like you're not gonna think that, oh, she was a Toa before. That's crazy. She was a Toa of water. I thought she was just like some elder or something.
Yeah.
But honestly, the lore is so great. I love it.
Of course, I am very aware of the Bionicle lore. I am one of the very few who have watched the 9-hour Bionicle documentary. It took multiple sittings, but it was very worth it. I think it's a little unnecessary, I'm not gonna lie. I think it all kind of exists for the sake of having lore and not really for the sake of anything else. Like it's just for the novelty of having lore. Though I like more of the deep cut stuff, like Hellerix is the first Turaga, and like the weird like Suicide Squad time jumping thing they do, and like the weird like Lovecraftian monsters that are like somewhere in like in Motonui or whatever. I think that's ridiculous, but I think the surface level story I think is really cool.
The guests are right. I think the overall like normal lore, or even the really tall like gigantic robot that spewed a whole universe of Matoran that's crazy, like actually insane, but it's cool, and I think that is really great. And the fact that they aren't really aware, and that they're on a robot, like they're not really aware of what's happening, and seeing them slowly learn what's going on, and them becoming aware and trying to overthrow Motonui is really cool. Those whole civil wars are fire. Okay, those are fire. I mean, yeah, you get like the guy who just like summons himself whenever someone tries to overthrow Motonui and like sends them to the Shadow Realm, which is insane as it is, but whatever. I mean, there's a lot of goofy robot men who are very scary. Very, very scary. I swear, some of the depictions here are almost horror-esque. It really is insane. But back on topic here, I think some of the stuff can get really goofy. For example, the Lovecraftian horrors that just exist in the Bionicle universe. Like, the original planet that all of these goopers lived on gets torn apart by the inside by a horror beyond human perception that causes the people of this planet to have such bad nightmares that they go insane and try to kill each other. Like, what in the world? Like, there's straight up genocide in the lore because of a entity, if you will, just running amok, causing issues. An entire race just gets wiped off the face of the planet because the Leviathan horror was just like, nah, screw them. They don't really need to exist. Just L ratio, get bad dreams. L plus ratio. Like, dude, like that's crazy. What a move. What a power move. And I think stuff like the time travel stuff is like, okay, you're getting goofy. Like, I think that's a bit unnecessary. Hot take, I know. I think it's a little unnecessary when time travel is involved, and like you have horrors and like weird, insane crap. Like it gets really crazy. But I think the more chill stuff, it's crazy that I'm following a giant robot created by a bunch of gods that were like, oh look, our planet is tearing itself apart because of the mutagen from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles has gotten into the Bionicle universe, and it's either causing people to just spontaneously combust or mutate into monsters. Like, that's a plot point here. Like, why is the mutagen from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles here? Why is it making some people spontaneously combust and others just not? Like, what's going on? When you're learning about it for the first time, it can be a shock. Like, the early lore can really be a shock because it's just all over the place. Like, it goes hard and really dark. But when it's not dark and the giant robot flying through space and stuff like that, that stuff I think is some of the best lore, like the Civil Wars and the Matoran finally realizing and trying to overthrow Matanui, and there being power struggles, a whole brotherhood that turns evil. That one guy from Legends of Matanui, who is a little crab guy with the little crab arms, was a former Toa who turned to the dark side, betrayed his brethren for maybe power, but then he's like, I don't really want to be here anymore. And then Rodaka's like, L plus ratio, no, screw you, you're not Toa anymore, you're getting your powers removed and you're turning into crap, man. That's how it works here. Like, insanity, right? Pure insanity. But it's really interesting, and I implore all of you, if you can, to try to learn as much of the Bionicle lore as possible, because you will probably be hooked, because this is a crazy storylines here. But what about Good Guy?
Nuva of the Wookiee Catamaran, and Good Guy from Bionicle.
Good guy.
My god, dude, I love Good Guy. He's actually, he would.
Good Guy's awesome. I feel like Jack might take the point here, because I generally don't know who the fuck.
You see, Good Guy has become quite the notorious fellow in the Bionicle community. This absolute menace of a man, Good Guy, is one of the most popular memes of Bionicle. He's everywhere. You can't escape the Good Guy. So, what is the extensive lore of Good Guy? He's sweetest, I guess. Okay, so now my opinions on the overall, the games and the comic books, which is mostly where the extended lore comes from. There's also some, like, tidbits from, like, weird avenues and fan contests that get stuff canonized, and it's really a mess. Like, there is no good way to learn all of the Bionicle lore just easy. Like, there's no one piece of media where you're gonna get most of it. Like, you're scavenging. Right, you're scouring the internet for tidbits of lore, but I think most of it is from the games and comics. For the games, since if you don't know, and if you're new here, I do a lot of gaming on the channel. I'm on a quest to play every single LEGO game I can, trying to play them all, and we're getting near the end. By the way, you should go check out the LEGO game saga. There's like 22 videos in that so far, and there's more coming soon. But, those games are, well, interesting to say the least. A lot of them are for Game Boy Advance, so they're not very advanced, if you will. they just kind of exist. They're cool. There's some where you're just playing as a Matoran and you're just walking around doing side quests as Takuo, which is kind of cool. Kind of boss. There's a whole game that was made for the PlayStation 2, which is kind of fire. But overall, I think the games are a little lacking. I know this really doesn't have anything to do with the lore, and it's not canon at all because it's not made by the LEGO Group, but I think some fan games are honestly better than, like, a lot of the normal games. Like, for example, there's one currently in development. I'll put it on screen and I'll have a link in the description to it because this is looking very promising so far. I found this while researching and it's like, damn, this is looking really good. It's like a hack and slash Souls-like Bionicle game, which is like the dream Bionicle game, right? I'll get more into that later, but that's a really cool idea for a Bionicle game. Hopefully it comes out soon, and hopefully LEGO doesn't beat them up for it, but it's looking really good. Not sponsored, by the way. This guy doesn't even know I exist, but I just figured I'd shout out this game because it's looking really good. So yeah, go check out the game if you haven't. I think go wishlist on Steam. I don't know what gets games attention. I'm not too big of like a gamer outside of LEGO games, so and Halo. So like, I don't know, go show the creator some support. I'll also leave a link to their YouTube channel in the description as well, so you can go check them out. They really do deserve it. On the broader topic of the comics, that's where the bulk of the lore comes from. There is a lot of comics, and they are very, very interesting. I think they are actually a very good read. It kind of sucks that they're relegated to comics trying to learn the lore because, unlike other avenues like superhero stuff, you can know a lot of it because some of the more popular stories have been adapted. It's not really the case here. You kind of have to go through and read a lot of them, and I didn't personally. I used a lot of the lore I learned was from the Duck Bricks 9-hour-long video, but I did read quite a few of them just to get a sense of how these comics were because I wanted to be a thorough reviewer. And dude, they are entertaining. They are so good. They are so good. Like, they are actually peak. I love them. They're really great. I would go read them. I really would. They're kind of great. I don't really know how to summarize them without just saying the exact same thing I said during the lore video, the lore part earlier, because it's like, it's the same thing, you know. I'm just talking about the lore more, but you know, I think overall the quality of the comics are very good. Storytelling is really great. I don't usually review comics. I mean, I do read, but I don't really read comics. I'm not a big into comics, but these were pretty cool. But here's the thing. At the end of the day, the Bionicle lore sucks to learn. My big criticism of the Bionicle lore is that it does kind of suck to learn. There's, again, no one piece of media to sum up all of the Bionicle lore, which leads there to be an issue of, if you're not already well versed in the Bionicle lore, you're gonna have a hard time. So here we go, Megamaniacs' Guide to the Bionicle Lore, kind of. For anyone new here who doesn't know the Bionicle Lore and wants to get into it. After learning it myself, here we go. Here we go. Let me talk about the best way to learn the lore. So, there is no great starting point to get the entire part of a story. There is really nothing. Even going back to like the movies and TV shows from that we talked about in the first half of this video, it was like, they're cool, yeah, but honestly, learning the entire lore made them significantly worse because none of them really adapted good. Like, there's a lot that's cut out because they're restricted to being an hour long, so they just don't really do it justice. I think Bionicle 4 and Journey to 1 are the biggest offenders of this, like, preposterous. Like, Bionicle 4 tries to adapt some stuff, but it does just a horrific job and fails in every single way possible. And Journey to 1 is even more egregious. Like, that show is so bad already, but knowing what I do now about the lore, it is so much worse because it tries to adapt stuff. Like, dude, the two brothers, the brothers of the Bionicle universe, like, they are here. The Mask of Creation is just in this show, and they do nothing with it. It's just there, not doing anything. What? Why? Do more with that. That's a big thing. Same with the Mask of Time. Like, it was used a little bit in Legends of Metru Nui, but it's not really used after that. But like during the events of Mask of Light, the Mask of Time is being used. Like, it's relevant. And it's like, why isn't it there? Obviously, it's probably because they didn't think of it yet, but still, crazy. Crazy. So, the best way I could say to go about it is probably watch the original trilogy of Bionicle movies. It's not perfect, you're missing quite a bit of the storyline, but you're gonna get a base level that isn't too confusing. Yeah, you're still going to be confused. You're not going to get the names right. Dude, names have been a struggle for me this entire video because they're so complicated for no reason. Like, why are they like this? I mean, it's stylistic, I say that, and it's cool, but like, man, is it hard to remember for a noob, if you will. So, I'd say watch the original trilogy. If you want to give yourself the least amount of headache possible, I would say start with Bionicle 2, then go to Bionicle 3 and end on Mask of Light. Those are the chronological order, and I will stop you from jumping around the timeline and getting your timelines mixed up and not knowing when movies like work together. Like what time does this movie take place in? Why is Bionicle 3 smudged in between Bionicle 2 and Bionicle 1, but it doesn't? It takes place like in the middle of Bionicle 2, but like kind of not really. It's really scuffed, so just watch them in order. Yeah, it's probably from like worst to best in that area, but you're ending on a banger, and I think overall you're gonna have an easier experience. Realistically, I want to say just don't watch Bionicle 4 and Journey to 1, but if you want to, you can. I'd say watch them after Mask of Light if you want to. If you want to get a slightly better experience, I'd say watch them before you dive into the expanded universe. I think that'd be a little rough because you're not going to be able to go back and watch these movies after learning the full lore because they're not good. Like, they're not good. And then regarding the extended lore, I'd say the extended lore is really hard to get into, so I'd say start familiar and kind of build off the storylines you already know. So I'd say reading comics in that Legends of Metru Nui area is very good. Some stuff that expands on the Mask of Light would be pretty great. And after you do that, you can kind of just go in whatever you want. If you want to learn the beginning of the lore with the Lovecraftian horrors, you can. If you want to go play the games, if you can find them and maybe find an emulator or something, you can. And overall, you can just go from there. But I think that is a okay starting point. It sucks that Bionicle isn't very accessible, because I think if it was this lore was more accessible, it would be a lot more popular today. I think it just would, because this is some very good lore and very interesting and entertaining lore that I think needed more of a spotlight. And now, it is time. We round out the video. I have given you my opinions on the movies, the lore. It's time to round out the video here. But we still have one more thing I want to talk about. The future. The future of the Bionicle. And my series. Because there's a lot of series and speculation behind Bionicle. there's a lot of people who want to see Bionicle make a return, maybe in the new style of the gift with purchase that recently came out, or the one mask that was found in the Monkey Kid set, because it's just there for some reason. Like, why is Bionicle and Monkey Kid? Like, it's kind of cool, really neat Easter egg, but there is a lot of people speculating on whether they'd reboot Bionicle with this new style, or if they leave it the same. Now, I'll give my take on this here in a minute, but I want to go right ahead and move over to our guests of the video. Yeah, they still exist. Go have a discussion with them and ask them the question of if Bionicle would return.
Last year they did the promotional thing with like the brick built Bionicle. Do you think they do a reboot like that, or do you think they go back to an older style, or?
Well, I don't think they ever will bring back Bionicle, because I feel like Lego, I don't feel like they feel like there's that need really anymore for those action figures. Because like the most they've done, the most I see them doing is like the superhero action figures for Bionicle. That's the most that I see them doing, is because like Bionicle would have to be competing with themes like Ninjago, Star Wars, City, like all Monkey Kid now, like a lot more themes it has to compete with. And I just don't think a lot of people have the interest. What I would really like them to do, though, is maybe like an anniversary set for maybe like the Great Spirit Robot, or just like many of the sets I've been like on Lego Ideas for Bionicle. I would really love for some of those to be released, just like more collector's items. But no, I don't think like a real spiritual like successor, like a new reboot. No, I don't see that happening.
So honestly, I hope that they use like the sort of like gift with purchase Tahu build for it, because I feel like that's what's gonna happen because of the whole like Kanohi Pakari being hidden in a Monkey Kid set, I think. You know?
Oh wow, I didn't even know that.
I honestly hope that that's the way that it comes back, so that it's not that expensive to like get a bunch of sets. Because if it's gonna go with like the buildable figure style, like with the Marvel buildable figures, then I feel like it's going to be like super expensive, like $30 to get a Toa, which would be really upsetting, and it would make the combiner models like really hard to get, and especially if they wanted to make Titans, that would be horrible. The price, it'd be like $100 for a Titan. I feel like if it were to come back, I want it to be the gift with purchase style, or to just go back to straight Technic, because after playing with the Technic style a bit, I actually kind of like it more than the system bricks, because of how creative you can get with it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like that if they were to like do Technic, they would probably make them like UCS type of sets or something, which would honestly be kind of cool, but it would be really hard to get like a bunch of Toa and stuff. I'd much rather have them be small so that we can like get a bunch of them.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, so I know some people are throwing around the idea that they would remake all of them in the GWP style. I don't know, like, to me, that's not Bionicle, you know? Bionicle is, like, the weird CCBS, like Technic parts that are specifically designed for each Bionicle, or CCBS. Like, those non-Lego-like parts, to me, is, like, what Bionicle is. Like, it's its whole other building system in, like, Lego Technic and Lego as a whole. So I think, for me, like, to betray all that and go to system is not, like, it just rubs me the wrong way, because, you know, like, it's like you're trying to make the Mona Lisa, but out of watercolors instead of paint. Like, it's not the same. If they decided to go back to CCBS, I'm totally fine with that, though I know they won't do that, and they definitely, like, would never bring back all those parts because it'd be mad expensive, unless they knew it would work, and they know it's not going to work. I think it would be more successful than it was in 2015, because Lego's definitely like a bigger company now. A lot more people know about Bionicle than they did in 2015, including myself. So I feel like that could work, but I don't know. I think it's very unlikely, and if Lego was to do it, they'd probably do it in the system style, but then I think a lot of people would get angry. So it'd be a lose-lose situation, I'm not going to lie.
And I do echo some of their sentiments. I think, realistically, if I'm being completely honest, I don't think Bionicle will ever return. As we know, they have tried to reboot it a few times, and their most recent attempt was 2015 to 2016, and that went poorly, to say the very least. It just didn't work. It didn't resonate with people. It had poor marketing, and overall, it just didn't really work with people. And they probably, I don't know their financial situation, but I don't think it made a lot of money. And with a pseudo failure under Bionicle's belt, if we're being realistic, I think it kind of put the nail in the coffin for the franchise. I don't see it making a grand return like it was, especially like it was back in the old days. I don't see it ever returning to that form. Lego is... I'm not hating on Lego when I say this, but they are profit driven, and they will do what makes money. I think done right, a Bionicle reboot would make money, but they would have to do it right, and I don't think they would. I think they would just do what they did in 2016 again, and it would fail again. Or they do the new brick built system, and it would fail to capture a new audience and an old audience too, and it would just not work. I could see more promos happening, but that's just me being realistic here. Now, let's get really goofy in fanfic, because I honestly really want to see Bionicle return. I think it would be fantastic having, because this is peak, right? This is really peak. I think this is, despite it being a long process, it is some of my favorite Lego storytelling that they have ever done. So I'm pretty in love with Bionicle at this point. I really like it, so I would really hate to see it be dead, right? So here's my insane fanfic for how I would personally bring back Bionicle. For the sets, I would probably do it in a similar style to 2016, or maybe even to the new brick built system, to maybe cut down on costs and not have them be so expensive, and have them work more with system sets. Would it feel like Bionicle? No, but it would also probably work a little bit better than bringing back the old system, convenience-wise. And also, I would honestly bank off this lore. I think this is very interesting lore, and I would capitalize on that. Basically, reintroduce the existing Bionicle storyline for a new audience. A next generation, if you will. Make a new TV show. No, not Journey to One, but a new TV show that builds upon and accurately adapts the Bionicle lore from the extended universe. And I think if done right, it could be a very captivating show that works with all audiences. Like, I don't want a gritty Bionicle show. I've seen that idea being flown around as like a dark Bionicle show, and yeah, there's genocide and war crimes happening in the Bionicle universe, like, day to day, but I don't think it would work. I think we would end up with a problem to where it just appeals to nobody because it's a kid's toy. Lego, at the end of the day, is a kid's toy, so trying to have this gritty show, like, work with kids, it wouldn't work. So I'd think something more along the lines of Mask of Light levels with some, like, intense moments, right? Like, some really cool stuff. Maybe something like Clone Wars, to where it, not like Clone Wars exactly, because it wouldn't work like that, obviously. Like, they're different franchises, but I think a style like that would work very well for Bionicle, and this could become like a big thing here. I also think a big thing that would capture a lot of people's interest would be a new Bionicle game. Lego isn't exclusively working with TT Games anymore. They have recently expanded, working with like 2K games, with Lego 2K Racing, Visual Concepts with Lego 2K Racing, Epic Games with Lego Fortnite, and now PlayStation and Sony with the Horizon Adventures upcoming Lego game. So I think banking off the back of the lore maybe a little bit, we can get a very interesting, good Bionicle game. For example, going back to the fan game, I think a licensed game by LEGO that was a Souls-like, maybe a straight up Souls-like experience, a very good one at that adapts some of the storytelling. You could have it take place anywhere during like the Mask of Light times on the Matanui Island, or maybe in Metru Nui, or maybe during those whole civil wars where they kept trying to overthrow Matanui, and you have the Brotherhood and all of this stuff. Like, we can adapt whatever we want into a Souls-like Bionicle game, to where it not only captures the older audience, like we can have the show and sets for a younger audience, but to bring back some of the older audience who might have grown up with Bionicle, to have a Souls-like Bionicle game be really good in the style of, you could either do Dark Souls, or you could just do like Jedi Survivor and Fallen Order, two very good games with some very neat mechanics. You could have something like that, a really good Bionicle game that captures the masses and lets people know that Bionicle is back. Not like 2015 or 2016, to where I was kind of like, yeah, we're back if you care. I don't know. I don't really care. Like, it didn't seem like they even really cared that Bionicle was back. Do a big push. Bionicle is back with a really neat game. Dude, if Killer Bean is getting a fantastic FPS, dude, please. A Souls-like Bionicle game? Is that really out of the question if Killer Bean is getting a game and it looks like it could be Game of the Year? Like, genuinely? Like, dude, come on. Come on, it would be so cool. You could have any developer work on this and really bring it back. You could have streamers play it and really let the masses know Bionicle is back. And I think that would be the perfect scenario, and what I would do if I were to be tasked with the Herculean task of bringing back Bionicle. Again, would that ever happen? Absolutely not. There is no chance. No chance. There is no chance that would ever happen, but dude, a man can dream. So, with that all out of the way, that is the end of this Herculean video. This insane, just stupidly long video. Let me take you to the outro now. Okay. Fella. It's a fella. After this really long experience, thank you all so much for watching the Goofy video. Before we go, I want to obviously thank everyone who helped with the video, including this fella who's, I don't even know what's he doing. He's just being a dog. Oh. Bye-bye. But, thank you, everyone, for watching the video. I want to thank everyone who helped with the video. Jisner Jack, 442nd Legion, and ZSC for putting up with my friendly bullcrap, just my goofy shenanigans. Thank you for putting up with it. Thank you for doing the video. And lastly, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a break. Take the rest of June off. Not going to be doing much the rest of June because I got stuff to do. This video took a lot out of me. A lot. Really, realistically, this was just an insane video, so I'll be taking a little bit of a break, but that's okay. I will be back. I might make one more video this June. I don't know. It depends on how I'm feeling at the end of all of it. So, yeah, that's about it for me. But I have one more thing before we end this video. One more goofy thing that I want to share with all of you. The final words from our guest.
I need your opinion on a very important Bionicle topic. I'm gonna post it in the set. What is your opinion on this goofy image of Vicama T-posing in Windows 2000. I don't know why.
I think
from
this is
early development of the first Bionicle movie. I just found this image
Wow.
somewhere, but
I think this is remarkable. You know, it's not every day you get to see a Taraga T-posing in Microsoft Windows, and I think, you know, at the time, this must have been revolutionary technology, you know? This was really pushing 3D animation to its limits. So, you know, without this image, I don't think society would be where it is today without it.
in chat, and I want your opinion on this very awesome image. So, what is your opinion on the Obama Bionicle?
Oh, the Barack Obama, dude, wasn't that made by like? I think I know who made that. I know they're on YouTube and they like start off their like videos with like a low monotone voice going, "Hello, BioTube,"
Yeah.
right? That's them, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty
But
sure
dude,
so.
Dude, Barack Obama, dude, I love Barack Obama.
And this image of the Obama Bionicle.
Oh wait, here. Let me check this out. Obama. Oh shoot. It's actually tough. What the heck? It's what are they called again? It's the island cleaners. I forget their name. Borak.
Yeah.
Oh, giving it a solid 8 out of 10. Yeah, I don't own any of the Borak, but that would definitely be the first I would pick up. Barack Obama.